Welcome to Super Mario Brothers 2 for the Famicom Disk System. Yes, the original Super Mario Brothers 2.
Never has such a happy-looking opening been so foreboding
Where
because.
did the your sound went?
Remember, too, it's because it's the attract mode.
It's the demo.
The attract mode on these games works kind of like an arcade game too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Super Mario Brothers 2: The Lost Level.
So here's the first.
AKA.
So here's the first downgrade from the first game. For some reason, the multiplayer mode is gone. Instead, you can only pick between playing as Mario or playing as Luigi, but you can't do co-op like you could in the first game. Why?
Now, admittedly, this was the game where Luigi started to do. This is the game where Luigi started to differentiate from Mario. Ergo, he had a thing where he had the higher jump, faster and more slippery, though.
Yes.
Also,
and watch out for those mushrooms.
There you go. The poison mushroom made its debut in this game. Of course, because of course it did.
You know what? Honestly, I'm not even surprised. Anything that brings you pain and misery might as well have debuted in this game.
All right,
Parents
so
divorced? That probably debuted in this game.
Fuck. That's okay. Fortunately, I have the moon
okay,
jump to
you're able
correct
to-
myself. I have the moon jump to correct myself. See, the thing is, I'm trying to showcase how Luigi. Okay, here's my first recommendation when playing this game: don't play as Luigi. While the higher jump may seem like a cool thing at first, the slippery physics combined with this game's level design is nightmarish. Trust me, play as Mario. You'll have a lower jump, but at the very least, your character will control better.
And I just want you to keep in mind, though, you may have noticed, for a first level, this is interesting, let's call it.
Okay, so to start off with something positive, as you can see, the graphics at the very least did get some improvements. As you can see, the floor graphics look more detailed compared to how they looked in the original game.
And look, you can even see the clouds proper now.
Yes. Aside from that, the music is basically completely reused from the first game. So yeah, if you're expecting a new soundtrack for this supposed sequel, well, you're not gonna get it because, as you can see, it's the exact same.
To give him some credit, the game's not necessarily off to the worst start. Sure, it's weird that we get poison mushrooms as early as the first ever level, but to be fair, so far the level design doesn't seem too bad. Sure, a bit tougher, but hey, you know, it's a sequel.
Yes, that's because, everybody, according to the developers wanted to create a game made specifically for people who have mastered the original game. So, which is why the deluxe port of this has the Super Mario Bros. For Super Players named to it. The thing is, like some Call Me Johnny mentioned in his review that he made back in the day, the big problem is that there's nothing wrong with making the game challenging. The problem is that a lot of times the level design feels like it's excruciatingly made just to piss you off. A lot of times the game will have a lot of what I like to call beginner's traps. I will get into that specifically when we come across one of them, but there's going to be a lot of... Yes, there's going to be a lot of times later on in this game.
Too, I see.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of times, everybody, where the game will ask you to do a leaps of faith, as well as do a specific jump that you can only do once, and if you fail, you die. So this game is going to be asking quite a lot of you, as you'll see. Forgot. Aside from that, yeah, go on, Dwips.
I was going to say, I've heard conflicting reports as to why this game initially didn't get released outside of Japan. Some say it's because people in Japan thought Americans would find this too hard. Others say, well, it's because this game's just too similar to the first one.
Yeah, those are the two. We don't have any actual saying because nobody at Nintendo has ever properly confirmed it. I'm willing to believe more. I'm leaning more towards the it was too much like the first game theory because Nintendo of America never had any trouble releasing super even hard games. They released Battletoads for fuck's sake. So which is even harder than this game. So
there's a reason the trope is called Nintendo Hard.
Yeah. So honestly, if Nintendo of America had no problems bumping up Battletoads to ridiculously hard levels. Remember, the Japanese version of Battletoads was actually easier. It was Nintendo of America who had the brilliant idea of stepping up the difficulty for the American release. So I'm not really buying the whole, oh, Nintendo of America thought this game was too hard. No! Nintendo of America had no problems releasing supremely hard games. I'm gonna go with the second theory, to be honest with you. It doesn't really, like, as Phoenix Wright would say, there's a contradiction in that statement. There's evidence that contradicts that statement, basically. Yeah, see, the thing is, there's a lot of times when you're playing as Luigi in this game where you want to stop because you see an obstacle, but again, Luigi is slippery as fuck, which can screw you over a lot of times.
To be fair, that's kind of the element of it, wherein, hey, you take one with the ups and the downs.
I get that, Joe. Okay, we'll go do this. Or not. Thank you, Luigi, but our princess...
Thank you, Luigi, but our princess never cast again. Sorry.
Wait.
Now, hold on a sec. Why do you look like Mario?
Because this was before they differentiated the colors. Sorry.
You're just trying to imitate your brother's success, aren't you? You sad little man.
And look at that. It's nighttime now. Cute.
They haven't changed the colors, and he's also still the same size as Mario, because originally Luigi had the exact same size as Mario.
I'm surprised you haven't tried. I'm surprised in the first level you didn't try and do that multiple lives trick.
That's because I gave myself cheats so I don't have to do that, because that's a very time-consuming trick.
I mean, I did it.
Sure, you did it. That doesn't mean I have to do it.
So I did one thing that Pedro didn't, therefore it automatically means I'm better at this game than Pedro. My logic is sound.
Congratulations, Lips. Yeah, it's already nighttime, so interesting, because the first game waited quite a bit before getting into a nighttime level. So, that's interesting. But yeah, as you can see, everybody, as far as sequels go, this is, in my opinion, kind of lame. You're basically just taking the original game and making a ROM hack out of it. I don't know. I get what you're trying to do. Like, this was before you could create DLC expansions for games, so if you wanted to make a harder version of a game, you had to full-blown release it on a box. So I understand that this was... If this was made today, it would just get released as an expansion pack.
If I may,
go on.
This game is ironically kind of like the Super Mario Galaxy 2 of its time, in the sense where it is a sequel, but one that provides more of an extension of, hey, what made the first game so great? Now the difference is how they went about upping the difficulty here and there. I wouldn't say Lost Levels is necessarily impossible.
Oh no.
Oh boy, aspects will be tested unless you cheat like Pedro is here.
It's because, like Johnny said in his review, it plays like Mario, it looks like Mario, it sounds like Mario, but the level design just doesn't really feel like it has that same balanced philosophy that the original game had. It just, again, it feels exactly like a fan ROM hack, like Kaizo Mario. It feels like a precursor to Kaizo Mario.
Okay, again, it may not be showcased the best here because Pedro's cheating, but no, like, Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels is probably the closest we get to an official Kaizo Mario game.
Basically, yeah. So, I actually managed to beat this on the All-Stars version back in the day. And remember, in the All-Stars version, you have a save without cheats. Well, remember, that was back when... the thing is, Java, Game Genies and Game Sharks weren't really available in my country. You know? So even if I could afford one, I didn't really have the means to do so. So... Well, but remember, Java, in the All-Stars version, you actually have a save system, meaning you can actually return to where you were. Unlike this original version. So, yeah. But yeah, on the original 8-bit version that we're playing today, yeah, it's like a... However, to be fair, just like the first game, there is a level select code that you unlock after you beat the game once. You'll have to keep the console on to make sure, because this thing doesn't save anything. But, yeah, there's that. Aside from that, yeah, as you can see, this basically is a ROM hack of the original game. There's not really anything that changed. The structure's the same, the gameplay is basically the same. The only real thing that changes is the level design.
I hesitate to call it essentially a ROM hack. Like, okay, I get it. By modern standards, this is a ROM hack, but to be fair, a lot of game sequels were kind of doing the thing where they had to reuse assets heavily here and there. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess to me, it just doesn't feel fair calling it a ROM hack in that regard. Mind you, I'm not excusing this game for its problems, which again, I don't think this playthrough will really get to show as well, unfortunately, but still.
I'll show some of them actually.
Yeah,
You're still gonna see some deaths. Just hold on. Even with these cheats on, I still die a couple times. Fuck this. Seriously, I hate Luigi. I wanted to show. Here's one thing I'm showcasing, Jova. The fucking slippery controls on Luigi make things unnecessarily harder. Again, I understand that you wanted to differentiate the two. I get that, but could you come up with something else than this? Like, I don't know.
I wonder if the idea was that Luigi was kind of like, higher risk but greater reward, essentially.
Why? There's another. The time score thing is added to your score.
By the way, Hammer Bros show up as early as World 3.
At the end of Bowser boss fights, as well as.
Well, that was already a thing in the first game, Dibs. Actually, there was already a thing in the first game, Dibs.
No.
Wasn't it?
The time didn't get added at the final level of the world in the first game, whereas it does in the second one.
Oh, really? Huh. I never. Maybe. Well, whatever.
I don't remember.
Well, thank you for small favors, I guess. So if you're one of those who cares about scores, I'm happy for you.
Yeah. The kids probably want. Actually, no. You can't even say that. Remember, this game didn't come out in the. Okay, this version at least didn't come out in the West.
Mm-hmm. The first ever time this version of the game was released in the West, and it was via the Wii Virtual Console. In fact, I don't think...
Yeah, the NES version, we should say, because there's lost levels on the Super Nintendo as well.
Yeah, specifically the Famicom Disk System, because Super Mario Bros. 2 was actually released for the Famicom Disk System, which was a small little add-on for the Famicom, which is the Japanese NES, that implemented a specific disk system, which it had only a couple games. It didn't really have a lot of them. Like for example, it had a Zelda 1 version of the Famicom Disk System where you had to, in order to defeat the pole, you had to scream into the controller's microphone. Yes, because the Famicom controllers had little microphones into them. But aside from that port and this game, the Famicom Disk System didn't really have anything of note. This is pretty much the only game in it that people usually care about. So there's that. Yeah, basically, it came out on the Wii Virtual Console, and if I remember correctly, that's the only time it got re-released. I don't think it's on the Switch, is it? This version specifically? I mean, I know the All-Stars version is, obviously, but...
I've got the Switch right here, I can check.
Go ahead.
I think it is on the SNES Classics
it is.
thing that you can get with the online thing on Switch.
Well, I just said that Super Mario All-Stars is in the Super Nintendo app, so yes, by extension, Lost Levels is in the Switch, but that's the Super Nintendo version. What about this original 8-bit version? I don't think that one has been re-released after the Wii, I think. There's this checking. That's the thing. That's the thing. Even if it did get on the app, probably would be the Japanese version of the app. Because remember, depending on which region you're at, different apps have different region apps have different games. Because if you get a Japanese account on your Switch and download the Japanese version of the app, you'll notice that they have different games. So it also depends on whether or not Nintendo bothered to re-release this over here as well on the Switch.
Yeah, I'm just still going through it at the minute. It's just got on the app. Well, there's Super Mario Bros. 1, and there's 3, Yoshi, the space game.
And there you go, see? Here we go. Here is a beginner's trap. You have to jump onto that platform there and then jump from there. If you manage to get into that platform that I was just in, that platform is a beginner's trap. if you jump on there, you can't go back because, as Joe put it very well, in these first two games you can't go back, right? Meaning if you jump on that platform I was just now, you're fucked. You need to kill yourself or cheat like I am in order to go. That's just mean. Go on,
Well,
Dos.
I have. It is indeed in the Nintendo Switch Online. NES,
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
NES Arcade. In fact, I'm playing it. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it right now. See how it runs.
Well, it should.
While you play that
Oh,
one.
jeez.
Well, NES emulation has been pretty much figured out completely by this point. I mean,
yes, we do indeed get the maze level early on too.
oh, trust me, Jova, this version of the game is fucking trigger happy. They fucking love these mazes.
Okay, let me put things into perspective, folks. You may have noticed how a lot of stuff that showed up more so closer to the end game of the original game
Yes.
is showing up relatively early here.
Yeah.
That puts things into perspective of how tough this game likes to get.
But yeah, it's again, that wasn't one at the beginner Transcendental show. But yeah, it's one of those things where, okay, if you're going to have it so that platform you can't get back unless you jump back on the platform, at least allow us. Here's one refinement you could have made to this game: allow us to go back on the level design. But no, just like the first game, you can't go back. So if you can't go back, that platform right there. That you might as well write a sign on that platform saying you're fucked if you jump here. Like, it's
You
literally
can't do that. It's a kid's game.
that's just the level designers being dicks. There's being challenging, and then there's just being a dick to the player. I'm sorry. I mean, come on.
I do
It's
wonder if it has to do partially with player standards, since I guess maybe back in the day that would have been considered fair.
I guess. I mean, it's just one of those. I mean, look at the original game. The original game was by no means perfect, but the original game aged remarkably well. You know, because the developers actually tried to create a well-balanced experience that wasn't too hard nor too easy. Whereas this game just feels like they completely took the glove. Fuck this. Let's just create a torturously hard experience for the players. And again, as you can see, I'm having trouble figuring out the maze. That's because you have to go through a very specific combination of paths in order to solve this thing. And as you can see, there are multiple different combinations. So this can be really hard to figure out. And remember, you're on a timer. So again, if you want to have a lot of mazes in this game, at least remove the bloody timer. I mean, you can still have a time bonus. You can do something like what the Sonic series does, where you get more bonus points if you complete the game faster, but don't put in an actual time limit. Come on.
Okay, I did. Okay, I have played a little bit of the of this version to see how it runs. Bright flickering.
There's
Yes.
sprite flickering. I don't know if my emulator has an automatic sprite flickering correction feature. It probably has, because I'm not, as you guys can see, I'm not really seeing any sprite flickering. So, I mean, usually by default, I'm guessing Nintendo wants to keep the sprite flickering on for authenticity's sake, right? Because that's how it was in the original hardware. But like Digital Eclipse showed in their recent Cowabunga collection, as well as their other collections, they did the same thing for the first Legacy collection as well. It's always nice to have an option to turn off the sprite flickering, you know, because the sprite flickering wasn't made as a creative decision on part of the developers. It was made because limitations. But anyway, let me explain this real quick. The mazes, like Joe has been pointing out earlier, the mazes in the later part of the first game were relatively easy to figure out if you just, tried multiple sequences, because there was always a maximum of only 3, maybe 4 possible combinations. In the mazes in this game, there's a lot of mean little paths and branches that you can go into. So there's a million different, well, not a million, but you know what I'm wondering. Like, there's a lot of combinations that you can go through. So basically, you have to try a lot of them, right? And pray and hope you get it right. Because remember, there's no way of knowing what's the correct combination. You just have to try and hope you get it right.
Luigi, you know the drill.
Yeah, combined with the time limit, going through certain maze levels in this game can be a very frustrating experience, you know. Again, like I said, there is such like we've talked about with Battletoads. There's a time where the game can get too frustrating to the point where it can stop being fun. Where a lot of when I complete that maze that just now, I didn't feel like I completed it out of skill. I completed it because I just happened to get lucky and managed to finally find the right combination. You know, I don't feel accomplishment because I didn't feel like that was a good test of my skills. I completed that because I got lucky, because I happened to do the combination that the game wanted. You know what I mean? So, because this is a big problem with a lot of NES games where they wanted to get, you know, Nintendo hard, like Jova said. The problem is a lot of the challenge back then revolved around frustrating, obtuse, and cheap things. Unfortunately.
Is that what I think that's kind of become a bit of a stereotype for NES games, for lack of a better word?
Pretty much, yeah.
People always associate NES games with, oh, games so hard it'll take you like 10 years to beat them.
Well, the thing is about...
Let me put it like this. They were tough, yes, but for the most part, I do emphasize, for the most part, Nintendo tends to be fair to a point with their difficulty. And that technically does apply to this game as well, since, no, technically, though this was mainly by the standards of back then, technically this game was fair, you know, it was a tougher version of the first Mario game, and the idea was playing the first Mario game would be like...
Oh my god, Hammer Brother!
This game, essentially.
Oh.
Oh, you think that's Red Strips? Guess what? Later in the game, the Hammer Brothers... Yeah, they never stop coming towards you.
Beautiful, simply beautiful.
I mean, when you go past them, they go back to normal.
I know,
One
but
thing I
damn.
ironically love about this game, it is how flipping insane it does get. Like, okay, let me put it like this. This game is perfectly beatable, but goddamn still, like, even if you have played the first game, you better know your stuff with Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And heck, even if you do know your stuff with Mario, you better pray to God you won't be driven insane before you beat the game.
Yeah, now it's time for a leap of faith.
Oh boy.
There you go. See, notice that jump. Yeah, I managed to save myself, but notice, what you probably had to do there is, you had to, as you can see, you couldn't tell, while we were on the previous platform, you couldn't tell that there was a flying Paracoopa to the right, because again, the screen hadn't naturally moved to the right yet. So, that section that we just saw, that's literally a leap of faith. You have to know in advance that there's a Paracoopa that you can use as a catapult to get to the next platform. So meaning the first-time player doesn't know what the hell is going on, so he's most likely going to die because he doesn't know in advance that he's supposed to jump into a Paracoopa. So yeah, it's what I call a beginner's trap. It's one of those things where, yeah, you can a lot of times it feels like the developers made this game for themselves, not for a natural audience. You know what I mean?
And they got accidentally released. Here's my theory: they made it for themselves just to make around, you know, because they wanted to be the first makers of Kaizo Mario. Mm-hmm. But at some point, someone in the inventory thought, oh, Super Mario Brothers. Someone must have forgot to release this inventory for restocking the shelves. Oh well, let's put more out there. Oh wait, I forgot to read the 2. Shit.
Oh goody! I know this when I see it. It's another maze, isn't it? Oh, never mind. Looks like I'm good. Hopefully.
I was gonna say, does this game of a maze fetish?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, kinda. In fact, let me bring up that game that Jova brought up earlier, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Yeah, because Super Mario Galaxy 2, like Jova said, was also done in a similar fashion. Super Mario Galaxy 2, as Miyamoto said, unlike the first game, was made specifically geared towards the Mario veterans, which is why it was more challenging in comparison to Mario Galaxy 1's more relaxing difficulty. The thing is, you know, as a true trademark of a Koizumi team game, the challenge level in design in Galaxy 2 is spectacular. Like, every time you die in Galaxy 2, you always feel like it's your fault because you screwed up something, because of tight controls, and the fair levels are not always there to eliminate excuses. Super Mario Galaxy 2, as a result, is a lot of fun. Not to mention one of the cool things at Mario Galaxy 2, because this was before they abandoned the live system. They always include 1-ups that you can always get every time after a checkpoint to a particularly difficult area. So the developers made things the wind.
Yes. Oh, yes, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, wind physics in a platformer.
Yes, there's going to be a...
Yeah, honestly.
Sorry, Theo, go on.
Watch out for your jumps.
Yep, go on, Jojo.
Admittedly, not a bad idea for a platformer here. Nowadays you see wind used in a lot of platformers, and it forces you to have to adjust for it. That said, in this game, oh boy, the wind.
There's going to be a lot of times where the wind is either blowing left or right, and you have to accommodate your actions according to it. And honestly, to me, it's just
like in real life.
Honestly, to me, it's just more annoying than anything. I play Mario games to escape from what? What the fuck? Did the level just give up? What the fuck?
Yes.
Alright, guys, game over.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, of course.
Okay. So there you go, folks. Mario Maker was not the first game to have this kind of dickish design in Mario.
Well, with Mario Maker, it's made by the community, so I know what to expect regarding that kind of shit.
No. I'm referring to people who think that kind of dickery only originated with the fan stuff.
Oh no, sure.
Nope, an official game did that too.
Yeah, basically. But yeah,
let me put it like this: Super Mario Brothers 2: The Lost Levels is a fun game to watch someone else play and go insane from.
I do. Okay, if you want a more elaborate, level by level explanation of the level design problems and how they don't seem to really fit the control scheme of the original game well, check out Lord Cat's Until We Win video on it.
Or if you win, you can. I think Brain Scratch Cons did a pretty good Let's Play of this game.
True. Well, usually when it comes to hard,
they used the All Stars version. But
yeah, they did. Well, when it comes to discussion about hard games, I usually go for Lord Cat, because remember, the whole purpose of the Until We Win series is to play a hard game, as he puts it, until we win. So where he basically explains the game and gives tips and all that shit. So when it comes to the whole, help with beating hard games, the Lord Cat series is a pretty good safe bet for you. Yeah. It's one of those cases where the game a lot of times feels like it's being unnecessarily frustrating to you, in comparison to something like, oh goody, this is probably if I remember correctly, this is probably the first time we had an auto-scrolling level in a Mario game, because this is going to become a gimmick in a lot of Mario games to follow, where you have this platform and you have to follow along as the platform floats ahead. Again, this is the kind of stuff you see all the time in Mario games nowadays, and it was premiered here.
Also, in case you thought you were hallucinating during the aerial levels, don't worry, you weren't. Yes, bloopers are flying out of water levels.
Yeah, like Jova said, the game gets more and more insane as it goes along, where look at this, see? It literally, okay, you said, I know that this is technically before ROM hacks were a thing, but that's what this feels like. It feels like a fan ROM hack, where they put levels, where they put enemies out of place,
If anything, it's the opposite, probably fan ROM hacks, homage these as, as for mentality and process.
Maybe this was the progenitor of those.
Well, again, it's not too difficult to imagine that, sure, we can tell how this game is unfair on different levels, but it did still inspire a lot of people for different Kaizo versions of Mario and the speedrun community.
Also, is it just me, or am I going in circles? Yeah, there's mazes there's mazes in the outdoor levels now as well. As you can see, I've already gone through this section like 5 times.
Choose the correct pipe. Is this an Hanna-Barbera cartoon now?
Yes.
I will say this: it would be such an amazing thing at the Mario Brothers movie actually puts in a level reference to Super Mario Brothers 2: The Lost Levels.
Too
Alright.
early still to judge by the time we're commenting on these.
Okay, my theory on that movie is that that movie is actually going to be a prologue to the first game as opposed to being a proper adaptation of the first game.
It might, but remember from the trailer that we saw at the Nintendo Direct, it's implied that the game, what we're seeing right now, it's essentially an obstacle course that in-universe Peach is having for
What a
Mario to get there.
what a weird placement for a cloud, like right next to the floor.
Standing there, looking at you.
It's there to congratulate you.
I guess. Oh great, if I remember correctly, this castle also has a maze. Lovely.
All of them do.
No. The previous one didn't have one. Surprisingly, it kind of looked like it did for a while there, but it didn't. At least I don't think it did.
Well, no maze so far.
Well, let's see. If I remember correctly, doesn't this one also? Okay, if it's not.
Compensates by having all those.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, this one doesn't have it either. But I remember correctly that the Castle 6 has it at least. If it's not this one, it's definitely the next one. Jesus. Done. Fuck you, Toad. I just.
Waste of Mycocelia.
Say about my mom.
Mamma mia. Anyway, tune in next time
That's
where.
Mama Luigi to you.
Yeah. Tune in next time where we finish off the first the second 8 worlds, but as you're going to see, there's more to this game after 8-4. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.